This public meeting of the Judson Board of Trustees is hereby called to order at 5:46 p.m. We've established a quorum and I will call roll. Mr. Macias?
Present.
Mr. LaFoyle?
I'm here and very happy to be.
Ms. Kenoyer?
Present.
Ms. Pashat?
Present.
Ms. Eaton?
Present.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Present.
And I'm Dr. Melinda Salinas, and to my right, I have Dr. Carl Montoya, Superintendent of Schools.
Present.
And I will hand the mic over to Dr. Montoya.
Good evening, everyone. This first part of this public hearing is to briefly review the process of District of Innovation. And then, of course, when this is over, there'll be a continuation on the board committees. But basically, what we're talking about when we talk about District of Innovation, it is a process that we have to have meetings and involve community people and staff in terms of developing what we think we want to do. And I'll be brief, but basically we're looking at two areas in the process of District of Innovation. The first area is that we would like to finish the first semester before the Christmas holiday. As it stands, what happens now, if you have children or your staff members, is you go home for 2 weeks, Christmas, then you come back and approximately 2 weeks afterwards, the district first semester ends. And one of the issues that people have told us is, a lot of kids, they don't study, let's be honest. They're not going to study during 2 weeks of Christmas. And we expect them to come back and take finals and exams and end of course tests and all kinds of stuff and to do well. But what happens is that it's really not to their advantage. In a way, it's better to finish the semester early before Christmas and then start the second semester brand new after the holiday. So that's going to be one of the ideas. The other idea is that we have, and we've received input from our board, it's been difficult to hire librarians. That's an area that sometimes there's not that many people out there that are applying to be librarians in our public schools. And so this would allow us some flexibility with that group to see if there's people out there that could meet the qualifications and be good librarians in our school. But at this time, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Gonzalez, who's kind of our coordinator for this whole process. So Joe, if you want to go ahead and pick it up.
So in 2015, good evening, I'm Joe Gonzalez. I'm the Executive Director for Student Services. So in 2015, the 84th Legislature signed into effect House Bill 1842, which gave us the District of Innovation with some flexibilities to some of the education codes. And what I'm going to outline for you today are the rules that we have to follow, or the process that we have to follow. One of them is having a public hearing tonight. So things that we have to do, or things that we have to understand, is how do we become an innovation district? Who's involved in that process? And for us, what's next as Judson ISD goes down that road of investigating the steps involved with that. So in November, on the 17th, we signed a proclamation. The Board of Trustees signed a proclamation that basically says, let's start this process, let's investigate it. And tonight we're having a public hearing that basically says, here's the information, what do we need to do? And in 30 days from now, the board either determines or within 30 days, yes, we want to formally go through the process of creating a plan. Well, what does that mean? And we've seen some of these slides before at the presentation for the proclamation. The board will appoint a committee, which is the WHO. The WHO are all the stakeholders that are involved with making the plan, that are involved in our district. They can be parents, administrators, teachers, community members, principals, district office staff. The plans that I've seen have been as many as 50, as few as 10. So it just determines on how the board wants that group to look like, and how deep that representation representation needs to unfold. And so what we are looking at are the education certification, specifically librarians, and the first day and last day of school, or how it impacts our calendar. And if you look at what I have listed there is the Texas Education Code, because one of the keys is being specific and sometimes general in how you're citing these codes. In talking to TASB, in talking to some of the superintendents, they've cited a lot of the codes in wanting to use them at a later date if they pertain to things like critical areas of need or areas of certification that they can't find. So these are the areas that you can pursue. But in visiting with the people and investigating their plans, what they say is we don't necessarily, we've determined that we might want to use these different components in the future. Therefore, when we investigated how this component might fit our district, the committee said yes, at a later date, it would be important for us to utilize. So they kept them. What we'd have to do after the 30 days are up is post our plan on the district for 30 days, notify the Commissioner of Education of our intent to adopt a plan, and then bring that plan to our district site-based committee for their approval, and then bring it back to the Board of Trustees for their approval. And then you have to take it back to the commissioner with board approval and notify them that yes, after we initially intended to approve it, we did. The board adopted it and approved it. Then you place it back on the website and you keep it there the entire length of your 5 years. You also have to notify TEA within 15 days that you've adopted this plan for 5 years. Now, you cannot do things like decide you no longer want to be accountable to the Texas Education Accountability System, or no longer take the test, or do away with the school board, things like that, or change the curriculum, not follow the TEKS. But you can change things like the teacher appraisal system. You can change the school start date. We've talked about things like that. But these are some of the federal and state laws you cannot impact. Factors that you need to consider are how does it impact your local policies? Is it going to help you solve a problem or a shortage in critical areas? Is there a program that you're trying to implement, and are you truly involving people that speak to your stakeholders and represent your stakeholders? Any questions?
If we don't have any further questions, then we will adjourn this meeting, and the time is 5:56.